The National Energy Regulator, here's some backstory, has put off deciding on Eskom's tariffs for 2023-2024 as well as 2024 and 2025. This is after Nersa's subcommittee requested more time to finalise its recommendation. So that deadline is Christmas Eve, as stipulated by a High Court order, and was made earlier this year. This is all about Eskom's fifth multi-year price determination revenue application. If it's fully approved, it would translate into a 32% hike in its standard tariff. Again, that's going to be followed, or expected to be followed, by a 9.74% increase in 2024-2025. Let's talk about the developments of today and what's happening at Nersa with Professor Sampson Mamphweli, who's from the Centre for Renewable and Sustainable Energy. At Stellenbosch University. Prof, good evening to you and welcome. I want to jump to whether Nersa is going to be able to meet the deadline or not, but you've been hearing the discussions around what's happened at Eskom. And I know, usually we say, let's take a moment, somebody's left, and we kind of have that luxury to ruminate. We do not when it comes to Eskom, so we're moving forward quite quickly. But share with us, from your perspective, what Ruyter leaves behind in terms of his legacy.
Good evening, Iman and the viewers. So it's for me, it's mixed feelings. It's a mixed legacy. Mixed in the sense that when Ruyter came in as Eskom CEO, he did not have a full comprehension of the challenges at Eskom. He was given information that basically misled him. And he went on the news and on record saying, well, load shedding will be a thing of the past in the next 18 months. And what he did not know was that apart from the aging power stations that are breaking down every now and then, there are also some acts of sabotage that were happening, and the fact that some of the Eskom employees did not necessarily accept him and his leadership style. So all that just basically added to the challenges. But he tried his best, in my view. At some point, he was posting profit, which is based on the fact that he basically minimized some costs. I still remember one financial year where he posted about 8 billion rand profit. But all that money went to paying the debt that Eskom has, which is a legacy debt that under the Ruyter got there. There were challenges also with municipalities that were not paying Eskom. They currently owe Eskom to the tune of 50 billion rands. And when that happens, it affects the Eskom balance sheet, and then it affects the maintenance work that Eskom need to do, and then it results in rolling blackouts, basically, that we have now come to know as load shedding. So in my view is that Andre de Ruyter did what he could do given the situation, and his timing in terms of the resignation, which I think is because of the pressure both at Eskom on the technical side where things are not working, and the political pressure from the political principals. I think the timing is wrong. Because we now have the cabinet plan that needs to be implemented. We have a new board that just came in. They need to implement the cabinet plan, and Andre de Ruyter was part of the crafting of that particular plan. So what needs to happen now is that Eskom need to get somebody new who needs to come in and try and start afresh to understand the challenges at Eskom. That, for me, creates administrative instability in the institution at the time where we don't need that.
Yeah, I mean, you kicked it off with a trio of factors that were already against him, not knowing the extent of the problem, sabotage and internal mutiny. We don't have time to go in which one you think was the bigger of the problems and the obstacles he had to cross. Is your advice then to the board to not accept his resignation, and could that scenario still manifest? If, as you say, he knows the cabinet plan, he's got the keys, he might be the best one to drive that.
Yeah, I don't think at this point in time the board has got a choice, because I knew about the purported resignation of Eskom of Andre de Ruyter about 2 months ago. He wanted to go. He has taken enough beating. He has cited to some of the Eskom senior people the fact that his health may start to be impacted by the current situation. So the pressure was basically too much for him. I expected him to resign at any point in time, even though it's not a desirable sight at the time where the new board is supposed to start implementing the new strategy. What should happen now, and what I suspect would happen, is that the Eskom board chair, who basically has quite a lot of knowledge of the running of Eskom, of how Eskom runs, and some of the challenges, because most of the challenges at Eskom are legacy challenges. We've had the collapse of the energy availability factor for coal power stations since 2011. In 2010, it was above 85%, and then it started collapsing, and we're sitting now at 59%. And most of the experts that I've spoken to are saying it's going to be very difficult for Eskom to get the energy availability factor back to above 75%, which is what the shareholders compact is saying. So basically, the board has got the compact that is saying get the maintenance properly done, get back to 75% energy availability factor. But that compact is coming without money. So how do you then fix the system and get the energy availability factor back to 75% above without money? They've recently asked for 1.5 billion rand from National Treasury. It was declined. Municipalities are owing them 50 billion. The tariffs that we pay as consumers are not even cost reflective. So basically, Eskom is running at a loss from financial year to financial year, and they have to rely on public funds to maintain those systems. So we're sitting in quite a dire situation. My view is that Eskom should be given between 10 billion and 15 billion rand, so that they can then hold the original equipment for manufacturers on retainers, identify key components that are breaking in these power stations, and then get those manufacturers of this equipment on retainers, so that we can have a turnaround of about 24 hours from the time that we have a breakdown to the time that it is fixed, while we're busy fixing the rest of the power plants.
Professor Mamphweli, a final question here. Time is not against us, and I'm talking about the country and our economy. So whoever takes the place needs to do so quickly. They need to come up to speed with the cabinet plan, be able to execute quite quickly. What you're suggesting is we could be in the dark and probably worse for a little while longer. But who would you say is the right person for this job as the CEO in this moment?
At this point in time, yes, it's true. I'm saying South Africans shouldn't celebrate the resignation of Andre de Ruyter. That has added a layer of risk in terms of getting worse. At this point in time, we need someone who knows the running of Eskom, someone who has been there before. And the current Eskom CEO has been there before. The current Eskom board chairperson, has been there before. He understands how Eskom runs and all that. He can be given that chance to be the interim CEO, but he needs support from cabinet. He needs support from National Treasury in terms of the release of the funding that he needs, and he needs support in terms of the interim kind of reforms that need to be done on the Eskom procurement process, which is quite laborious. It's like it follows like the PFMA. Just to get a cup of coffee, they need to go through this long process that by the time the cup of coffee comes, you're no longer thirsty.
Well, let's make sure you leave while your coffee is hot. Professor Sampson Mamphweli, thank you for talking to us tonight. He's with the Centre for Renewable and Sustainable Energy Studies and a director for that unit at Stellenbosch University.